Hi, let's get started. So my name is Brian Servino. I'm the product marketing manager at Trello, and today I'm joined by our support specialist, Katie Cogdell. So today's topic is getting started with Trello. We'll be covering a lot of materials, so if you ever want to go back and reference any of the points made in this webinar, you can check out our Getting Started guide at trello.com/guide. So before we get started, I just want to let you know that everyone on the line is on mute. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments, please type them into the GoToWebinar question box, and Katie and I will be addressing them at the end of the webinar. Also, I want to let you know that I'll be recording today's webinar and will email copies of it to all attendees, as well as links to a lot of the information mentioned. So during this webinar, I'll be covering creating a team in Trello, creating a new Trello board basics, collaboration in Trello, essential Trello features, and share some tips and tricks. And really the goal of this webinar is to get you up and running with your company, organization, your colleagues, friends, and family in Trello so that you can harness the collaborative power that Trello has to offer. After this webinar, you'll be able to bring more perspective to all of your life's teams and stay in sync on all the projects and work that you have in your life, no matter where you're located, and really, kind of bring an end to the endless email chains and status update meetings that tend to ruin our productivity. So I'd like to get started by showing you a Trello board that has already been created for planning an event um, within my company. And by the end of the webinar, we will have created a board that is very much like this. As you can see, this board is made up of lists, and each list has cards added to them. Cards can represent tasks, and you can click on cards to get more detailed information about those tasks. So cards can be moved across lists as tasks progress from start to finish. For instance, and lists can also act as repositories of information as well. For instance, on this board, there's a list for resources and assets, as well as tasks, so that my team knows exactly where to find all of the information, images, and links that they need for this event or for whatever project you're working on. So to get started today, first I'm going to start by creating a team. Teams are a great way to organize all of the boards and individuals that I'm going to be working with. And with a team, um, and all the boards and within a team and all the boards that the team members are working on, having them associate with the team, everyone knows where to go to get the information they need, creating a high level of transparency and accessibility. So you can create a team for your company, an organization you volunteer for, the school PTA, family, or anything. And there's no limit to the number of boards or members you can have in a team. So click the plus sign. When you're in Trello, you click the plus sign on the top right corner next to your name and select the type of team you'd like to create. Personal teams are free teams, and business teams are for teams that are looking for additional security features, administrative controls, member management, and permissions, as well as unlimited integrations. And this is through Trello Business Class. So for now, I'm going to create a free team, but you can check out our business class webinar or trello.com/business-class to learn more about what business class can do for your team. So I'm going to click personal team, and then I'm going to name my team. So I'm going to name my team after my awesome business, which is Awesome Inc., where we sell only the awesomest goods and services. And then I'm going to click create. So next I'm going to invite my colleagues to the team from the members tab. And when adding people to your team, think big. Inviting everyone from your company up front as opposed to inviting just the people for your first project. It means that not only everyone will be creating boards under the same umbrella, which makes it easier for an entire team to collaborate, but also reduces future friction from the people that need to collaborate on team boards but hadn't been added to your team and it removes potential interruptions in your workday down the road. So the easiest way to create a team is by clicking the bulk add members button. And then you can either enter the email addresses or Trello usernames of the members that you'd like to invite. If someone hasn't signed up for Trello, then invite them by their work email address, or you can just, if they are a member of Trello, you can invite them by their Trello username. So I'm going to add some members to my team. You can also add members individually by name or email address, and each team also comes with a special invite link that you can share via email or Slack to let people join your team. You could just click that and copy your link right down here. Please remember, though, that anyone with the link will be able to join your team, so just make sure to send it to the right people. Also, if we had created a business class teams have the option to link their Google Apps domain to their business class team and add members in a single click. So I'd highly recommend when you create a team to also add additional admins. As the team creator, I am the admin for the team. However, just in case something happens, maybe someone needs to be removed from the team, or more members need to be added. I'm the only one that can do this as an admin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another member of my team an admin, just in case for some reason I'm not available to help out. So I can just click their permission and change it to admin. And now we have, and I'm actually going to do 3 admins on, just make sure we have a couple admins available. These are managers or anyone making, executive decisions. A very useful thing to have. So with my team created and members added, it's time to start creating Trello boards for all the projects and things that the team is working on. I think Trello is quite possibly the one app that every single department can utilize to get perspective on the work getting done and kind of what still needs to get done. And so for this webinar, I'm going to create a board to plan a meetup or event. But this is just one of the millions of ways that Trello can be used by marketing, engineering, sales departments, and more. And the setup of board and features covered here can really be applied to any use case. One thing I would recommend is checking out our page trello.com/teams to see how your department can use Trello in so many different ways. And I'm actually going to just put this in chat so you can take a look at that on your own time. So without further ado, we're going to create our board. There's 2 options. You can either go to the Boards tab right here and from your team and click Create Board, or from the plus sign in the header of Trello and click Create Board. So I'm going to click Create Board, and going to be creating a board to organize an event or meetup for our users. So I'm going to name this board Big Event. And as you can see, by default, this is already going to be associated with the team that I just created. So I click Create, and now we're on the new board. And a new board is kind of like an empty canvas that can be customized to your workflow with the addition of lists. So you can add as many lists as you need to your board to create steps in a workflow or pipeline. So I'm going to start adding some lists to my board. To-do list, doing list, done list. And these are to manage my task workflow from start to finish. And then I'm also going to add a resources list for any information about the event. Lists can always be reorganized by dragging and dropping them into place. And can always be renamed if your workflow changes. And like I said, this is a pretty simple workflow. I could always add more steps. Perhaps I want to create a new list awaiting approval or QA. Maybe I would drag cards would move here to this list for approval before they're done. But for this example, I'm going to just keep things simple. So next, I'm going to add cards to my list for tasks that I need to do to plan this event. And if you've already started making a list in another app, you can simply copy that list and paste it into a new Trello card. So here's some tasks I jotted down that I needed to do for this event. I just paste them in a new Trello card. And Trello gives me the option to create a new card from each line separated item, which is a really handy time saver. Cards can also be added by clicking add a card and then typing out the card names. So I'm going to create some additional cards for my resources list. Event assets and website. Location details and speaker information. So at this stage, the cards on the board simply show us the work that needs to get done in its simplest form. However, by clicking on a card, you can open it on the card back and add a lot more information like descriptions, checklists, due dates, attachments, labels, and more, which I'm going to get into. So let me give you a more in-depth tour of the card back and demonstrate some of its features. To add more detailed information about a task, you can edit the card's description. So for instance, on the Find a Venue card, I can add more detailed information about what criteria we're looking for in a venue. So venue needs 300-person capacity, close to mass transit, and have an in-house audiovisual system. And I can save that. So this way, anyone that's looking at this card just knows what we're looking for in a venue. As you can see here, Trello in card descriptions recognizes markdown formatting. So you can format your cards a bit more to make it more visually appealing and more clear to read. So since finding and securing a venue is going to take a few steps, I'm going to make a checklist to track the process step by step and make sure that no important details fall through the cracks. So let me add a checklist, and I call this venue to-dos, and then add a few items to my checklist. So I'm going to research venues, get quotes, sign contract, and I'm going to want to confirm with the venue before the event that everything's set to go. As items get completed, I can check them off. And we could see the progress of this card, all the tasks, subtasks, checklist items getting completed on this card. So just like how you can create a set of Trello cards by copying and pasting a list into a new Trello card, the same applies for checklist items. So I can quickly copy and paste items for everything I need to do to prepare my speakers onto a speaker prep card. So for instance, I created this list in my other app, and I can just simply paste this into, my speaker prep card of things I need to do to prepare my speakers for the event. And Trello is automatically going to make individual checklist items by line separated items. This is really handy for a lot of things. Sometimes I even use it in my personal life when I'm making cards on my meal planning board for recipes. I can just copy this ingredients or steps and paste them as a checklist and then just be able to check things off as I go along. So since there are a lot of moving parts for planning this event and some things need to get done before others, I'm going to add due dates to cards so that everyone involved on the project knows when their tasks need to be completed by. Trello will send a notification 24 hours before a card is due as a reminder to any member that is added to the card or subscribed to the card. And I'll get more into members and subscriptions in just a few minutes. So all I have to do is from the card back, I can click the due date button, and then select when the card will be due. I could also pick the time as well, and click Save. Also, when a card is completed, you can check it off, and so that way we know the card is it's complete by that due date. So I can go through these cards, and one handy shortcut is while mousing over a card, I can hit the D key to quickly add due dates to cards. And I can go through and just add my due dates to these cards really quickly. But to save time, I'm not going to go through all the cards right now. So next, I want to talk about attachments. Since I already generated an invitee list from our CRM for this event, I'm going to attach it to the invite guest card. So Trello lets you attach files from your computer or from popular cloud storage options like Google Drive, Dropbox, and Box. Files attached via the cloud storage options will retain the file permissions set in the host app. So I'm going to pick my invitee guest list that I have already prepared. And this way, when I'm ready to send out my invites, or whoever's going to send out the invites to the guests, we'll have this document ready to import into MailChimp. So one neat trick, though, is that you can drag files onto a Trello card to upload and attach them. So simply drag and drop them. So for instance, I have this image for our event website that I can just drag onto a card, and it's automatically going to be attached to the card. What's also nice is that images attached to cards can be displayed as card covers, and this kind of can add a bit more visual appeal to your board. So labels can also be created and applied to cards. And these are a great way to not only provide additional visual data to your cards, but they can act as tags for filtering cards on a board, which I'll demonstrate in a moment. Labels can be used as a way to group cards by type, indicate priority, assign levels of difficulty, or simply categorize, like I said, as tags. You can create and apply a label by opening a card and clicking the label button. So labels can also be named for easier reference. So I'm going to create a couple labels right now. I'm going to create one for events so that my events team related cards. And I create one for marketing for the marketing team related cards. And then to apply a label to a card, I can simply click that. And now it's added to my card. As you can see, now I have this green label. A quick shortcut is that labels have associated hotkeys, numbers 1 through 9 and 0, which represent the different colors of labels. And I can use these to quickly apply labels to cards. So I can go through here and quickly add labels to cards. So now that I've kind of set up in a real world situation, I'd go through and maybe add checklists or descriptions to more of these cards. But now I'm going to add some of my colleagues who are working on this event with me to this board. And this way I can assign them to tasks and, so that everyone can keep track of what tasks are done, what still needs to be taken care of. As you can see here, I kind of like to have my board set up a bit before adding members to it, just because it provides a jumping off point for everyone else to work off. Whether that means, adding more cards or providing feedback or getting started with their tasks. It just allows them to have more perspective when they join a board and see how certain tasks relate to other cards on the board. So it's kind of helpful, I think, for me when I'm creating a board to have some structure set up in place before I go and add people. So to add someone to your board, you're going to want to click the Add Members button, and then you can either enter their name, email address, or username, or you can select them from the list from your team. Um, you can also easily add all your team members to a board by clicking the Add All Team Members. If someone, if if a person is not yet on Trello, you can invite them by submitting their email address. And as soon as they sign up for Trello, they will automatically be able to collaborate on your board. And so I'm going to add some of my teammates that I had in my team from before to this board. Maybe not all of them are involved in this event, so I don't need to add all of them right now to this board. But what's great is that because this board is a part of my team, anyone else in the team that's not a part of this board can easily join the board and view the board and see exactly what's going on and see the status of all the tasks for planning this event or get any information they need about the event. So I'm going to add also someone who's not a part of my team and who's only working, a freelancer that's only working on this project to this board, who's going to be handling the AV and photography. So I'm going to add it. So I'm going to add this member. And as you can see, they're invited. And when they sign up for Trello, they will then be able to access this board and begin collaborating. So I want to take a quick moment to mention board membership permissions. When you create a new Trello board, you are by default the admin for the board, as you can see by this icon right here. This allows you to change the settings for the board, close the board, change the board's background, etc. Also, by default, any new member you add to the board will have normal permissions. But you can give another board member admin permissions by clicking on their avatar and changing the permissions to admin. And just like with a team, we like to recommend always having a second board admin or more if you're comfortable, just in case the original admin drops off a project and administrative decisions need to be made, like switching the team the board is associated with, or closing the board, or removing members from a board. So as I made Amy a member of this board. So with my colleagues added to the board, I'm going to start delegating tasks. So to do so, I can drag and drop avatars from the sidebar here right onto a card. So I'm going to add a couple people to some cards. What's also a really neat shortcut is you can add yourself quickly to a card by just hovering your mouse over a card and pressing spacebar. So I can quickly add myself to a couple cards. Another option is to click a card to open it and select the members button, and then pick a member that you're going to add to that card. And you can also add multiple members to a cards if multiple people are going to be working on that card. So when someone is added to a card, they will receive a notification within Trello and by email that they've been added. And anyone added to a card will also receive notifications for updates to the card, such as if the card is moved to a different list, any comments on the card, or for any approaching due date on the card. Speaking of notifications, you can notify someone specifically on a card by mentioning them in a comment. And so this is helpful for when you want to get an update on the progress of a card, to ask for feedback, or just to say something nice. So I'm going to mention Priscilla. Say, let me know if I can help out at all. And now Priscilla will receive a notification that I left a comment on the card, so she knows to go and check out this card for the activity and see what comment I've left, and we can collaborate on this card. You can also use @card or @board to notify everyone on a card or an entire board, respectively. But I recommend using these sparingly as they can create a lot of noise. So with the basic structure of the board created and members added, it's time to get to work. So I'm going to drag the Find a Venue card over to Doing list so that everyone on my team knows that I've begun working on this card. As everyone begins working on their cards, they will also progress to the Doing list as well, and team members that are responsible for these cards can move their cards over to what's in progress. And then when I've done everything and I've got my venue all set up, I can move this to the done list. And so what's great is that everyone on my team can look at this board and know the status of every task leading up to the event without a single or email or chat message sent, really. We can see what's done, what's in progress, and what still needs to be worked on. From here on, I can go to my next task and start working on that as well. You might also have a couple tasks, cards that you're working on at the same time. So that's a really basic setup and workflow for a Trello board. And now I want to go a little deeper into some essential Trello features. And so many of these features are located in the board sidebar here, including general board and permission settings, such as what the team is, and commenting permissions, adding and removing members permissions, allowing any team member to join a board without being invited permissions, which is a handy thing to keep checked because this way anyone that needs to start working on a project can easily, or a board can easily just join the board and get to work. Another thing that's really useful is filtering cards on a board. So as I mentioned earlier, when we had filtering cards on a board is a handy way to get a more granular perspective on your cards. And we had applied labels to our cards. And so I can filter my cards to just see all the event labels or marketing labels and quickly see just the status of those tasks. If I'm manager of the marketing team, I can just quickly filter for these cards and see the status of marketing related cards. I can also filter by member, or I can surface any cards that aren't assigned yet, and then I know maybe who to delegate tasks to. Finally, I can also filter by due date as well. So here's cards due in the next week, due in the next month. Or if any cards were overdue, I would be able to surface those cards and then quickly get that task delegated since it's already overdue. It's also, you can use multiple filters at once. So I can filter for my cards that are, say, due in the next week, for instance. So this comes in really handy for just being able to surface, visualize specific cards that you want to see without so much noise from all the rest of the cards on the board. So Powerups are something that bring additional functionality to boards by integrating the apps you rely on directly into your workflow, like GitHub, Salesforce, Google Drive, and many more. And they also allow you to enable additional features on boards like a calendar view and custom fields. And once again, if you didn't see that, to get to Powerups, I clicked the Powerups button from the sidebar. And so every Trello board can have one Powerup enabled per board for free, and business class members can enable an unlimited number of Powerups on their boards. Powerups are completely adaptable to your workflow and your unique business needs, and it really allows you to turn your boards into centralized platforms that have all the information and data you need from the apps and services you rely on, all available in one place. Excuse me while I take a sip of water. So in this board, for planning an event, there's a bunch of Powerups that I think are really helpful. For instance, there's the calendar Powerup. And this will allow my team to see all the cards with due dates on them in a calendar view. And I can open a card and view it right from the calendar. There's also a week view. And if I move a card and drag it and drop it on another day on the calendar, the due date will automatically update on the card. Another great feature about the calendar Powerup is that it includes a unique iCal feed that can be enabled, and this is unique to you. This can be imported into any third-party calendar that accepts iCal feeds, like Google Calendar, Apple's Calendar, Outlook, and more. So in this way, you can, keep all your Trello cards with due dates on them. Bring them into the calendar that you're using for everything else in your life that has due dates, whether that's meetings scheduled, or if you have multiple Trello boards with the calendar Powerup enabled, you can bring in multiple iCal feeds to your calendar app and see all of the cards that are due from all your boards, in one calendar. Another one that's useful on this board, I think, is like the Google Drive Powerup. The Google Drive Powerup allows my team to organize files, folders and files directly in Trello. And so I can see when a document was last edited by whom and create new Drive documents right from Trello cards. So for instance, let me open up a card here. Maybe I can click the Google Drive Powerup, and I can attach a file, attach a folder, or create and attach documents right from a Trello card. So if I want to attach a folder, authorize my account, and now I can attach something. Let's see, what can I attach? So all the mock-ups for our event website, the wireframe, any documents associated with it can all be attached right to a card, and anyone on my team can click right there and go right into Drive and see this wireframe for this website and leave any comments or feedback right on my Trello card. Also, with the Google Drive Powerup, you can create and attach documents, slides, sheets, folders, and it will automatically be named, as you can see, the Trello card, when it was created, when it was modified, and by whom. And I can hop right into Google Docs and start working on that. So that's a really neat Powerup. The last Powerup I'm going to cover right now in this use case would be maybe the MailChimp Powerup. If my team's using that to send out an event invite, I can, let's see, I can attach a template. Oh, hang on one second. Thought I was all logged into this. And once my account's been linked, I can, oops, hang on one second, attach a template to my card for feedback, or I can also attach a campaign and to a card, and you see email send, open rates, click rates. This is just a dummy campaign that was created for this. So anyway, Powerups are super useful, customizable to whatever the workflow is that you're doing. Like I said, a bunch of these are very useful for event planning, GitHub. This really could be useful for developers. And I'd love to go into more Powerups and different use cases. Unfortunately, I don't have the time today, but there's like, you can check out trello.com/powerups, power-ups. Let me put that in the chat. And there's links to lots of useful articles about different Powerups. And you can also watch one of our on-demand webinars about Powerups at trello.com/webinars, which I'm going to put in chat. All right, getting back to some other features. Boards can be personalized with board backgrounds. All accounts come with these basic colors. And if you have Trello Gold or Business Class, you get more background options as well as the ability to upload your own. That looks really nice. Stickers are a fun way to add visual data to your boards or simply say, good job. And so all accounts come with a basic sticker pack. These ones up here. And if you have Gold or Business Class, you get additional sticker packs and the ability to upload your own. So I can just drag and drop a sticker on a card. And they're pretty fun ways to visually just represent information or say, congrats. One helpful way to stay on top of the progress on a board is by subscribing to boards, lists, and cards. And so subscribing to cards is a great way to stay in the loop without adding yourself to the card, because you'll still get notifications for card movements, comments, etc., as mentioned earlier, but your avatar will not be added to the card. And so this way it doesn't, this is an important distinction, I think, because it keeps it clear who is assigned to a card, and it doesn't cloud up the perspective that Trello gives as to who is added to a card and working on what. So you can just click the subscribe button to subscribe to a card. If you'd like to get updates for all the actions on a board, then you can click more from the sidebar and subscribe to a board. And the same also applies to lists. For instance, maybe you want to subscribe to the done list on a board. And this way, every time a card gets moved over to done, you'd get a notification. Or, it's a great way to follow up and make sure that everything looks good when someone, says they're done with their card. So if you have workflows or tasks that you tend to repeat often, then the ability to copy cards, lists, and boards might be appealing. So what I can do is open a card and click copy. And then I can copy this card. I can pick, keep the labels, members. If there were comments or attachments, I could select if I want to keep those. I can pick what board I want to copy it to, what list, and the position. So I'm going to copy a card to the in progress list just for the sake of this demo. At the top, and click create card. Oh, and there we go. It's right up here at the top of the list, as I said. So copying cards is very useful for more repetitive tasks. You can also copy lists as well. So I can copy this list, name it to do copy, and now all the cards are copied on the list to a new list. I'm just going to archive that so it's not distracting. And this one. I think it's also an event planning board like this is a great example where you might want to set up a template board if you're hosting regular events, and then make a copy of a template board for each new event. So imagine I had my basic card structure before all these cards were moved and before everyone was assigned. I could go to copy board, and I can name this board. So what I would want to do is have, maybe this would say event template, and then this would be like December event. Copy the board, and a copy of the board is made. So this way, this is like my event template. This is great for like retrospectives, etc. Anything that you're doing regularly. Maybe if you're doing marketing campaigns regularly, you want to have a template all set up and then just copy that board so you have a repeatable process. So as mentioned earlier, notifications. When you get notifications, if you're on a card or mentioned, or if you're subscribed, you see this little red bell icon up here. You can click that to view all your notifications. You can also update your notification frequency if you want them instantly, if you want them periodically or never. I like to get mine instantly just because I want to be roped in right away for anything. And you can also allow desktop notifications. I mentioned a couple shortcuts earlier in Trello, but if you hit the question mark key on your keyboard, there's a whole ton of keyboard shortcuts that you can find a lot very useful in your workflows. And so I'm not going to go over these now, but once again, just hit the question mark key on a board and you'll be able to see all of Trello's shortcuts. There's each board has a unique email address, and this is unique to you, that can be used to create new Trello cards via email. And not only this would be great for maybe keeping track of correspondence with my event speakers or the venue, and then be able to add any action items from email that are generated in those email. I can add action items as Trello cards and be able to reference that email on the Trello card by creating a card from that email by like using this address and forwarding that email. It'll go right to this board. But this could also be really helpful for sales teams looking for a way to track leads and demo requests, or HR teams to funnel candidate leads into a hiring process, or support teams receiving bug reports from users. The last thing that I want to share that might be useful is if you're managing, if you're working on lots of boards and you want to see all of your assigned cards from all your boards in one place, then check out the My Cards page, which can be accessed from the Trello menu by clicking on your name. And I probably have a lot of cards signed to me, so it might take a little while. Okay, didn't take too long to load. You can either sort the cards by the board or by due date. So you can see what's overdue, what's due in the next 7 days, next month, or any cards without a due date. And you can also sort by board. Also, Trello has apps available on iOS and Android that I highly recommend downloading so that you can organize and collaborate with your team from anywhere and always keep them in sync. So finally, I just want to share some places where you can learn more online. For webinars, including upcoming webinars and on-demand webinars, please visit trello.com/webinars. If you want to learn how your team can use Trello within each department, check out trello.com/teams for boards, best practices, blog posts, and more, all split up by departments. We also have a trello.com/inspiration for boards created by users like you that are shared with the entire Trello community. You can keep up to date on new product features, in-depth looks at Trello workflows, case studies, productivity tips, and more with the Trello blog at blog.trello.com. And of course, you can learn more about Powerups, trello.com/Powerups, which I shared before. And if you're curious about business class, you can check out business class, which I unfortunately did not have time to get into all the business class features today. You can always also find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and more for updates, tips, and shared content from the Trello community. And so that wraps up my presentation. Thank you very much for attending today. So looks like we have about 15 minutes, so I'm going to get the Q&A session going in just a moment. Please enter any questions you have in the GoToWebinar box, and I'll try to address as many as possible in the time remaining. And if you have to leave the webinar now and have questions, or if you'd rather ask your questions in private, you can always feel free to email us at support@trello.com, and we'd be glad to answer them for you. I also want to remind you that I'll be sending out a recording of this webinar and links to the resources mentioned before so that you can view the webinar again on your own time and share everything with your colleagues. So if you have to hop off now, thanks again, and let's get going with the questions, which there don't seem to be too many, which is great. So someone just asked, how do we mark a due date as done? So what you can do, say you have a due date on a card. You can mark it as done by just clicking this little box right here, and it'll have a green badge on it, which means it's done. And then you can move it over. If your card doesn't have a due date on it and you want to mark it as done, there's a couple different ways you could go about that. One thing you might want to consider is the custom fields Powerup, which allows you to add custom fields to Trello cards. So for instance, you can add I can add a checkbox. You can add like text, number fields, checkbox, dates, drop-down list with a custom fields Powerup. It's really, really versatile. And I can make a card called done. I can make a checkbox called done, show this on the front of the card and click save. Now, for instance, say this card doesn't have a due date on it, but I want to show that it's done. I can click done, save. It says done, yes, here. And on the front of the card, we see that's done, which I can then move to this list. Another option maybe would be to create a done label. I'm going to just, for the sake of time, just make this orange label done. And now I can apply that to cards when they're completed. And everyone can see that this means that the card is done. So those are 3 different ways that you could mark cards as done in Trello. Oh, okay, let's see. Next question. Someone asked to please go through how to add labels quickly to a card, the keyboard shortcuts. That's right. So as you can see with labels, there are 10 colored labels and then this gray label, which doesn't have a color and it doesn't show up on the front of cards. That might be better for if you're creating a tagging system that you want to filter cards by. So each label has a corresponding number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0, which I can use to apply labels to cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oops. I had to actually create the label. And now I can apply that label with the 7 key. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0 are the shortcuts to easily apply labels to cards. Let's see. Someone asks, what do these small symbols on the card mean? I'm not sure if you mean these. These are what we call, on the card front, these are what we call card badges. So for instance, as you can see, there's a checklist on this card. So when items get checked off, you can see this badge updates. And this is just a handy way to get information about a card without actually having to open it. If all 4 items were checked on the checklist, then the card would have a green checklist badge. I can see the due date. I can see that there's MailChimp, campaigns or templates attached to this card. Or I can see like here, the attachments. Here I can see what's done. So it's just a way to see. This one means that there's a description added to the card, that symbol. So it's a way to visually, in a glance, kind of get more information about a card, potentially saving me some clicks by not having to click through to it. Let's see. Someone says, how can you prioritize cards? So there's definitely a couple different ways you can go about prioritizing cards. As I mentioned before, maybe in this event situation, I was using due dates because, I maybe have to find a venue. I have to find the venue that's top priority before I can invite people to the event because I need to share the location for the event with them. So due dates are one way to prioritize cards. Another thing is just simply dragging cards on a list. On a lot of the boards I'm working on, I like to prioritize what I'm working on by dragging the cards, the most important cards, to the top. You can use labels to prioritize cards. So for instance, I'm going to go in here and maybe do red's probably a good one for important. And then pretty important. And let's say, not so important. And this way, like we can apply these, an important label. This is a good way to prioritize cards. So that way, people on my team can go through and see by label what's the most important card to get working on next. As I mentioned earlier, the custom fields Powerup. You could use this in a way to set priorities. I could create a field called priority and have a number. click this button, and so it represents on the front of the card as a card badge. And now I can go to a card, click priority is number 1. Maybe this one is priority number 2. And as you can see, now I can see what is number 1 priority, what's second priority. The last thing is Ultimello might be able to help you out. It's a Chrome extension. It's a third-party Chrome extension. I'm going to put in chat. This Ultimello might be a good resource for wanting to prioritize cards. So someone asked about deleting, archiving cards, lists, and boards. Yes, something I should have covered more in depth. So say you have a bunch of cards in your done list. You don't really need to see them anymore. You can always archive a card by clicking archive. And then in my boards archive, as you see, the archive card is right there. It's a good way to, you can use it, you can use the C hotkey to quickly archive cards. And as you can see, here's my archived items. You could always open an archived card, send it back to the board, or you can always just delete an archived card. Deleting anything in Trello is permanent. Lists can be archived as well, and you can go to a list view to see what lists have been archived, and you can always send them back. Finally, if you close a board, if I close this board, you have to be an admin to be able to do that, and you can always reopen a board. Reason why you might want to close a board is like if you have a lot of Trello boards and maybe this event's done and you don't really need it again. You can close it. If you want to, you can permanently delete the board once it's been closed. However, once again, it does permanently delete the board and everything's gone. So be careful with that one. I just like to close boards because it doesn't matter how many boards I have closed. Trello doesn't limit the amount of boards you have. Let's see. The master calendar. How to sync to another calendar app. Oh, Katie recommends Chronify. I'm going to share in chat. And this is this is good. You might want to sync because there is no master calendar in Trello, as I mentioned before. There's no calendar for all your boards, so you might want to sync your master calendar that way. So let's see. Someone asked, how do we set up weekly tasks without copying it every week? There's actually a Powerup that allows you to do that. It's called Card Repeater. So you can enable Card Repeater on your board, which, let me see. There we go. I'm not sure why that was. Having a little glitch there for a second. And with Card Repeater, I can set up a repeating task. So maybe it's in this instance, it's I want to every day check number of signups just to see how many signups are going to be attending our event. And I just want to reminder that I should need to do this. So I'm going to add myself to the card, and then I can have it repeat either weekly, monthly, yearly. If I want daily, I can just select every day and have this go, to the to-do list in top and click save. And now this card will repeat tomorrow at 12 p.m., reminding me that that's a task that I have to do today is check the number of signups for the event. So there's definitely a lot of questions happening. We only have a few minutes left, just trying to get through some of these. If we don't have time to answer your question today, like I said, just email support@trello.com, and we'd be more than glad to help you with those, answer those questions for you. Real quick, someone asked about reporting. How do you report with Trello? I'd recommend Krello is a great one. We have a Powerup for that. Gantt, which provides Gantt charts. There's also Screenful Powerup. Screenful provides dashboards for sprints and releases. And then there's a couple third-party tools. Let me just copy these links and share them in chat. You have reports. Oops. Let's see, plus for Trello. Another one is Gantify. Like I said, there's a bunch of ways for different types of reporting. These reporting tools. Another one is Burn Down for Trello for burn down charts. There's a lot of different ways to see, see the progress of your tasks over time, see what's getting done, where bottlenecks are, etc. Let's see. Oh, someone asked a good question. How do we add an avatar? I think it's really great to recommend that everyone on your team, adds avatars. I think it makes it more fun. You can see who is who. So click your name and then click settings. And then from there, you can change your avatar. So you can either upload a picture, you can take it with a camera, or you can upload a picture, or you can just have your initials. So that's how you can add an avatar. Let's see, someone asks, how do you recommend getting colleagues started with Trello when working in a big organization? That's a great question. I think when you're looking to onboard a team, it's really nice. Maybe in this example, maybe your company was planning events with like spreadsheets and email, and maybe it's good to like take a project like that, take a small project to start, and kind of make a Trello board for it. And show everyone how much more useful, the perspective you get and the time saved, not digging through email chains. You get with Trello. It's really easy in a glance. I can see, what I'm assigned, what other people are assigned. I can open the board, a card. I can see attachments. I can see what the most recent attachment was. I don't have to dig through an email chain and be like, oh, is this the most updated attachment, or which one is, who's doing this thing, or spreadsheets can be limiting in that, they're not very dimensional in depth. You don't you aren't able to add as much information to a spreadsheet cell or column. And so I think it's a great way to start like that is to pick a project, to onboard your colleagues, and be a leader. Make sure that you're like really driving the process. You're there as ready to answer questions. Be available to answering questions and help facilitate the process. Maybe that involves if you notice that some cards aren't moving on a board, maybe you'd want to mention the person, like, what's the status? Just to prompt people to continue to be using. And I think that once people really see how much clearer it is when you're using Trello as opposed to old tools like email and spreadsheets and docs, I think people will get that and then spread it throughout the company. Kind of going over time here. Let me have time to answer one more question. Oh, all right, here's a fun question to answer. How do you remove a sticker from a card? To remove a sticker from a card, you click this little pencil icon, and then click the sticker. You can remove it, or you can remove it, and then save. And that's how you remove a sticker from a card. Once again, sorry, there was not time to get to everyone's questions today. Please just follow up with us, email support@trello.com. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to help you out in every way possible as you get started using Trello. I thank you so much for sharing your time with me today. And as I said, I'll be sending out a recording of this webinar to everyone that's attended or anyone that signed up, and you can share the links to that with your colleagues. So have a great day, everyone, and thanks again for your time.